Hello guys, this is my update for my rogue poison build in order to destroy Duriel and after Lilith, but also to do nightmare dungeons in tier 80. I'll tell you everything that you should know, and if it's not done already, don't forget to subscribe, and big thanks for that. Just a few things before I start on the build. If you were playing my previous build, keep in mind that you should move to this new build after dropping this new ring X-Fall. Because with this ring we'll focus a bit more on damage over time and forget about critical damage. We'll lose a bit of AoE damage but gain much more poison damage and kill faster bosses. I also made a few changes to the build setup and I'll explain everything in that video. For the skill you want to play Shadow Step, Celerity for the mobility, Poisoned Imbuement for the damage on Twisting Blade, Poison Trap and Puncture as a base attack. If you are doing some instance runs, for example Nightmare Dungeons, Helltide and so on, simply remove this and you can go for the Death Trap in order to pack enemies and you'll be faster like that. If you're playing against Duriel or Lilith, simply remove this point and go back using your Shadow Step with the cooldown reduction. For the specialization, we'll be playing combo points in order to boost our Twisting Blades. Before telling you the gear, keep in mind that even if I dropped a Shaco, I won't be using it in this build video in order for you to have a good idea of how this build can work without Shaco. So for the helm you want some armor, and for the stat Poison Imbuement, a bit of cooldown reduction if you can, some resistances, and also basic attack speed will be cool. If you have some room, Dexterity can also be nice. For the armor you want the fact that you'll have a chance to create a free Dark Rod. Even if since we don't have much critical strike chance, it will still be efficient. For example, I have 60%, so it's a bit less powerful but still quite good to have, so you take this, and then damage reduction from poison enemies, increase damage or dexterity for the armor. For the glove, increase attack speed when you do a critical strike with core skill. It's the same for this one. With this 16% of critical strike chance, we'll always have this boost of attack speed. Then you want dexterity, attack speed, lucky hit, and if possible ranks of Twisting Blade. For the pants, the healing on the K passive, stats or damage reduction on it. For the boots, same, increased movement speed when you learn a critical strike. It will also be granted almost permanently, and you want some resistance on it. You can also get one affix of movement speed if you wish. For the weapon, increase poison damage, even if it will alternate, it will be still very good to have. And for the stats, damage over time, damage to close enemies, damage to poison enemies, and dexterity if possible. It's the same for this weapon. You'll want on it the fact that Twisting Blade will return, and the unique weapon increasing your attack speed. Then this new ring granting you a chance to erupt with your damage over time, and for this one the fact that you have no cooldown on Poison Imbuement when you have a toxic pool on your feet. You'll want poison damage, damage to close enemies, damage to poison enemies, and lucky hit chance. Lastly, for the amulet, the fact that puncture will be poison imbued. For the stats, damage reduction, some stats, and if you want also a bit of movement speed. If you don't have the unique yet, you can also consider this one, increasing your damage with imbuement skill on vulnerable enemies, and this one granting you additional attack speed on your basic attack. For the gems, make sure to get some damage over time, life, and lastly, this one in order to be capped at 70% of resistances. If you have it, you can also put some skulls instead. For the Vampiric Power, increase damage on vulnerable enemies, damage reduction in function of your life, increase attack speed based on your movement speed, increase damage over time on enemies affected by a vampire curse, and this one to apply the vampire curse. You can also think about the Moonrise, but it's a bit less powerful. We still lose some damage because it's very costly. And the last one, if you are tanky enough, you can tap this one for infection, but you lose a bit of damage reduction. So first start with this one, and if you want you can also consider infection. For the skill tree you want 5 points here, the fact that it can ricochet, and this one 5 points, the fact that it will daze enemies, 3 points to get damage reduction, 3 points for the movement speed, 1 point here and the cooldown reduction, increased damage, 1 point in dash, and this one, Poison Trap, 5 points, the fact that it will increase the damage when enemies are standing inside, and this one, 3 points to increase your damage, 1 point here for the movement speed, and here 5 points with the fact that poison will have a chance to be double. It's less interesting to get this one since we don't have enough critical strike chance. Then we have increased poison damage, damage reduction from poison enemies, 1 point to get some attack speed here, and lastly, our K passive with momentum. For the Paragon we want increased damage to close enemies, then we have this node which will increase your poison damage and poison resistances. We can also get this one, this glyph to increase damage to poison enemies, this one to increase damage to enemies affected by trap skill. You can also get this, then a bit below we have increased poison damage, and this legendary node, it's not mandatory to take because we don't have critical strike chance, so it just costs 2 points. You don't have to take it, you can skip it if you want. Take this one to increase damage to enemies affected by trap skill, and then we'll get here this glyph increasing non-physical damage and this one increasing damage to vulnerable enemies. As usual, I also put the builder inside the video since I'm not level 100, so you can check it out if you want to have the remaining points. I'll let you enjoy the gameplay. So you have a Nightmare Dungeon T75, Lilith first phase, and of course Duriel. I was lacking a bit of experience on my character and on my glyphs, so of course you'll have a new video quite soon on the full Lilith with this build. Oh, je lui blink la tête pour pas mourir. Oh là là, oh là là. Vite, le blood. Ok. Thanks for watching this video, I hope that you'll have plenty of GG drop with this build, and as usual, if you have any questions, feel free to post in the comments, I'll be happy to answer you.